accept input parameters. The functions can be used in a select statement. There are basically two types of functions. One is the system functions, which are out of the box, and SQL Server has those built in. The next one is the user-defined functions. So an example of a system function would be something like Getdate, which returns your current date and time information, and then another could be the count function, which returns the number of rows in a record set. The user-defined functions can also be different types, and the two main ones are scalar valued, which returns one value, or table valued, which returns a table. As far as the demos, we will be essentially taking a look at two examples. We will look at one called dbo.fn, which is the acronym you use for function. AVG unit price. This essentially what it does is it takes a product ID as an input and then process the information and returns the average price from the sales order header table. So this is similar to the information we just looked at. The second function is the one that uses essentially the above function in a select statement to show you the information from the order table plus the average price. And so we have saved some of this T-SQL in a file called using functions. So let's go ahead and switch to the Management Studio. I will create a new query. First off, I just want to show you the system procedures, and notice regarding the IntelliSense that you actually get a list of functions right off the bat. So our function Getdate is right here. Excuse me. If I run this, it will give you my current time and information on the computer. And then as for select count, again, there you go. Select count. You can do it from a table. So if I were to do, or let's actually use one of the views that we had created. So it just gave us the number of employees we have, which is 290. So those are the system functions. As far as the user-defined functions, you have to find those under programmability, and then functions, and then scalar valued functions. So here is the function. Let's take a look at that first. So I'm going to right click on it, select modify, and this will kind of walk me through this. So once again on the top it says use this database. I will go ahead and remove these settings. Next point is important actually. It's just commenting. Any type of code that you write, you should always put comments and just a general idea of what the code does. This helps the next person or team understand what we're doing. So for now, we just said author is learningcomputer.com, create a date. As far as the description, this function takes product ID as input and returns the average unit price for that product from sales order table. So this code should look familiar to you. We looked at this in the view. The main difference right here, well, let me back up. First, we just basically use alter function because this function is already there. If you were creating this function, you would just say create function here. I'm just going to go ahead and leave alter. So it says alter function. Here is where you will be essentially putting in the input parameter. So we have one input parameter called product ID, which is of data type integer. And this function will actually return information that's going to be of data type money, as is just the keyword. And then we have a block, a begin and block. So this is the actual part of the function. Now within the function we declare another variable called avg G unit price, which is again, this has to match what you're returning, if that's the one you're using within your function. So this is money, this needs to be money also. And then we have a select statement where we're saying, okay, assign essentially the average function, average of the sales order detail.unit price column. So any information that you have in that column, calculate the average and then assign that to this variable on the left. And this you have already seen. It's from those three tables that we looked at. We are using a where clause here, so it's saying that I only want the information from this product ID, which remember is the product ID that we're going to pass the function. And then you want to do a group by on that product ID. And at the end of the code, you'll see that we are returning this variable, which is essentially this part right here. So that's a little bit of explanation of the function. Now I will go ahead and close this because I don't want to change anything here. Instead, what I want to do is I just want to execute it. So you can right click on it and go to script function as select. So we haven't looked at stored procedures yet, but in stored procedures you execute the procedure. In a function you can select the function. So now one thing we need to pass is the product ID, and I will just go ahead and a couple of ways you can do this. You can go up here, you could say declare product, a variable product ID of integer, and then I will set it to 771, which is one of the mountain bikes. And then I will just come here and just remove this part. Excuse me. So what you're saying is I declared a variable, I assigned it, and then I'm going to go ahead and call that function. So I will parse this first, and then I will run it. So there you go. Now what it did was it went through all that data and it essentially calculated the average for that unit price column, and that's what it returning. Now what you could do is after this procedure you could use this variable essentially in maybe, there's, let's say there's code to follow here, you could use that. Actually what we would need to do is we would need to create another variable, but that's all I want to talk about functions here. And then I do want to show you one quick thing here also, is how to use it in a select statement. So here's an example where let's just walk through this. I'm declaring a variable called product ID as integer. I'm setting the value to 771, and then I have a select statement. But here is the important code. Notice that I'm just basically getting the fields here, but all of a sudden you'll see that I'm actually making a call to the function. So this is where the functions come in really handy, that they can be used within a select statement. Um, and rest of it is just I'm using the join information from all the tables, and then I finally have a where clause. Okay, so let's parse this function or this code and run it. Let's